Local recording.
Hello. So,
Hi.
hello everybody. Good morning. Good morning, Rolf.
Good morning to you as well, Asa. How are you today?
It's good. It's good morning here in Poland. How is in Sweden?
It's raining, actually.
Okay.
And I'm not sitting outside. Always people asking me when I'm sitting here, I was sitting outside because I have that window, that wall behind me. But this is like a room with another. This is the
Okay.
old part of the building. So I built another room in front of it.
Okay.
So I'm
Okay.
sitting outside.
Yeah. So I'm super happy that we're meeting today, and also I would like to say hi to everybody who are with us in the different parts of Europe and maybe the world. So thank you that you decided to spend some time with us today. If you would like to share from where you are, just say hi on our chat, please do. Good morning. Good morning. I see names I know already. So yeah, I'm super happy that you're with us. Yeah, I was looking forward to this conversation for more than 2 months, I would say, when I first approached you. Oh, good morning from Paris. Yeah, super. Yeah, I remember that I saw that you will be presenting your paper on a conference organized by Sociocracy for All. And I started to search for what you're doing, and I found out that you wrote a book, Till Trust Transparency, with Alicia Medina. Yeah, and I found more about this book, and I realized that this is something what perfectly fits to our Till breakfasts. Good morning from Białystok, Aarhus, Denmark. Wonderful, super. So just to introduce myself, I'm Alexandra Jach. I'm a member of Till Breakfast, a community that promotes Till and positive change in the organizations in Poland. And we aspire for Till values to become an integral part of the Polish organizational landscape, to contribute to creation of a better world and creation of a better workplaces, which is related, obviously. Gothenburg, Sweden. We have Sweden. Wonderful. Super.
It's always wonderful with Sweden.
So we would be like, the idea for today's meeting is that we will be talking for we will be mostly you, Rolf, you will be talking for 20-30 minutes, but we would like to leave enough time for you for our audience to share with us your questions, comments, and to make this meeting interactive. So I will introduce our guests. Rolf Medina is a Swedish doctor of philosophy in management with a background in computer engineering. After graduating in 1989 from Halmstad University in Sweden, he worked professionally in different technological areas, after which he moved on to various management positions, where he also had the honor of establishing new business areas. Since 2002, when he left Ericsson, he has run his consulting company Queenie and worked with a number of different clients such as Sony Ericsson, GN Resound, Skene Trafiken, I hope that I pronounced it right, Sony Mobile, Vattenfall, and IKEA. Rolf undertook his PhD at Schema in France, where he also received the valedictorian award. In parallel with his business activities, he has, during the last 10 years, worked in academia as a lecturer, model leader, and researcher at the School of Economics at Umeå University in Sweden, SCAM in France, and UCL in London, UK. Rolf is co-founder of Future of Organizing Incorporated and Highly Engaged People Incorporated. Nowadays, he devotes all his time to his consulting business, in which he focuses on digital journeys, competence-centric organizations, and supporting companies to move to the new organizing paradigm, as well as being a speaker and debater on topics related to organizational design, culture, leadership, and innovation. He has written several scientific papers and is the author of the book The Lemon and the Loop, which presents new ways to manage and define competence and how to improve organizational learning. And his recent book was just released in May 2023, and it was written with Alicia Medina. The title of this book is Still Trust Transparency. As we can find in the description of the book in various places, it can be seen as a continuation of Frederic Laloux's book, Reinventing Organizations. And this is a practical guide on how to organize and lead, based on Thiel and other modern ways of organizing. And the book can be found at Amazon. So again, it's great to have you here. And to talk about self-organization. Obviously, the book you've written with Alicia Medina is a wonderful starting point for us to share your perspective on self-organization. So I would like to ask you, what were your intentions behind the book? Why you decided to write it?
Thank you, Ola. First of all, you know more about me than myself. Thank you for a long, fantastic presentation. Behind the book, we have been working for a long time in different organizations, and we have seen how organizations become more and more unhealthy. People are suffering in the organization. Engagement is going down a lot. And we also, coming from when we are doing our PhD, we are also looking into organization, what is the issues in organizations. And so we decided 2018 to start a research project, initially with Umeå University in Sweden, and then we continue to it ourselves, Alicia and I. So see why is it like this? Why do we have these kind of unhealthy organizations? And how do we organize work? What is the difference from before? Because we also seen, especially here in Sweden, that the leadership has changed from some kind of more inclusive leadership to more directed leadership. So we started this research journey. We have been looking into more than 100 organizations in the world, especially focused in Sweden, but also internationally. And we have talked to more than 350 people about this. And then we see that there is a movement out there that would like to look into something new, because most of the organizational structures today are based on principles 100 years ago from industrialization, when we have managers instructive to people that was uneducated, not knowledgeable, that was like that worked like a piece in a machine to produce things. But today we have automated a lot of that kind of operations, and today we are working with our heads and our hearts. Head is knowledge, heart is engagement. But we still have this structure with power hierarchies. So now see, there have to be something new. And then of course, we were very inspired by Frederick Laloux. He's reinventing organizations, like many of us. And so we are taking this further and to see how can we work in a way where we distribute this power down to the people who are doing the job. Because today, the people are doing the job, they know more than the manager. And they should have the power, they should be having the power to decide about their daily work. So that was the background for the book, for the research project. And the book was actually released in Sweden 2021 in the Swedish version. And then we have the English version now in May, till transparency. It looks like this, actually. Now I have to do like this, but it's still mirror. So,
I have digital version of this book only.
Yeah.
So it's good to see it in a physical shape. What I wanted, so we will move soon to talk about what you propose in the book, what kind of model you propose in the book. But one question I would like to pose you before is about those self-organizations, approaches, frameworks you describe, which they started to appear after 2000, 2001 Agile Manifesto, and around 2015, I know, sociocracy, holacracy, different this kind of models. Of course, they were like the origins of these models or approaches are older, but I'm talking about popularizations or of this way of thinking. Also, Laloux book. This is the time after 2000, when like around 2015, when those ideas start to flourish. So can you say, like, from your perspective, what happened in the world of organizational development, in our culture, global culture, that we out of sudden, or maybe not out of sudden, started to be interested in this kind of approach?
Yeah, you're right. A lot is this self-organization became more popular with the Agile movement, because there is self-organizing was some natural thing in the Agile teams. But they used also, there was sociocracy, for instance, was more started in 1950s or something in the Netherlands and grown, but mainly non-profit organizations. What we see today is, especially with the information technology and the digitalization, we see that we have taken a new step to more knowledge-intensive work. So that's also one of the reasons that we become more popular as well. And we have seen in the world that there is a lot of different organizations without knowing each other, that's starting to work in the same way. Now, for instance, in December, January, we were in Argentina and Uruguay, and we visit several companies in this context working with self-organizing, have done it for 15 years. And our best examples we have seen before is in the north of Spain, where we have a group of companies that they are more like 80 companies today that have been having these kind of principles. And the nice thing about that is also they have financially growth as well. They are more profitable than the competitors, and the people working in the organization are earning more money. They have higher salaries. So it's a movement in the world, in many countries, in many organizations. Unfortunately, not in the larger organizations, but especially in small and mid-size. And of course, it's more common in the tech area because they are coming from the agile movement.
Thank you. So maybe I think that it would be a good moment to share a few words about the model you propose in the book with Alicia Medina. You shaped this new model of thinking about distributing power. The name is new for the model, and I'm thinking if like what you take from other approaches and what do you think it's I don't know, added value or different value, I would say maybe from your side. And maybe we can share also the model of other people too, so they can grasp.
Share the model. Maybe I can start to present it, and we can look at that model as such. So I will share my screen. I assume, am I sharing now? Or?
Yes, you're sharing.
Great. I will not present myself because Alexandra have presented me better than this. This is the book, and this is the deeper model, but I will go to the next slide. This is the model as such. It consists of 12 different areas. We have a systemic view on organization that see that everything is connected to each other. We cannot, for instance, discuss leadership without discussing decision making. They are connected to each other, and we have culture, for instance, that also see how can we create a culture that is where we can work together in a self-organized way. The foundation is the purpose and the principles of the organization. Where do we have this organization? Well, not only for profit, but maybe also for other reasons. And what kind of principles do we have in the organization? How do we behave? So the model is 12 different areas that are connected to each other, as I said. I will not go through them in detail, but then we take too long time. But for instance, we have the people. It starts with the people that because it's very people-centered today. An organization of today is people, relationships, and working tasks, more or less. And we have culture. How do we behave with each other in the organization? We have how we organize work in the organization. We have salary model and profit sharing. How do we have what kind of principle we have for salaries? How do we share profit? Transparency, communication. This is really important because we say that we need to be really transparent in a modern way of organized work. We shall not hide things. We have leadership, of course, that we need to move from authoritarian leadership to another leadership that allow people to grow. Workplaces and working hours it was very fun during the pandemic. We have looked into this before the pandemic and say, how do we actually work? Where do we work? When do we work? I can say that some activities need to be done in one place during certain times. Some jobs can be done on a certain place, but it doesn't matter when you do it. Some jobs you have to do it during certain times of the day, but you can do it from anywhere, for instance, IT support, whatever. And some tasks or jobs you can do from anywhere when you want. And that part is growing. I saw during the pandemic when everyone was working from home that this was actually possible. Digital tools and technology, because this is something we need to have to work in a structured way, independent if we are working self-organized or not, but especially if we're working self-organized. Competence and learning. Learning is something that should be a part of daily work. Social responsibility and sustainability, because this is a part of the systemic view. An organization is part of the society. So we are not isolated. So you have to work with our responsibility to our planet, to our society. Decision making is normally where we start with an organization when we are trying to move them into the future, because how do we decide things? Who are deciding different tasks? If it's operational, if strategic, is tactical decision. So we need to see how can we do this in which kind of forums. Finance, this is maybe one of the difference from other kind of self-organized models. We say we need to be financially healthy over time. If I have said something about Frederick Laloux, he always was saying that if we just do this, the profit will come. But we say we need to also work with these models that we are financially healthy over time. So this is in general our model. One of the reasons also, why you asked me before, Alexandra, how do we come to this? Because we say our workplaces are have become more and more unhealthy. And I looked into the Gallup State of the Workplace 2023. There was the new fresh figures. I can see that people engaged in work is in general in work 23%. Actively disengaged 18%, and then we have in the between 59%. And then Gallup is calling them quiet quitters now. Based on the last year's famous quiet quitting debate. Europe, we're down to 13% engaged in work. Actually, this case, 15%. And Poland, where you're living, you're more or less in line with Europe. In Sweden, we have actually increased engagement from 2017 to 2023, from 14 to 21. That is really good. I think we have started to discuss leadership much more in Sweden. So I think there is a positive way forward. But we are still saying 80% of people are not engaged in work. So, and we also say that if you are engaged in work, we are up to 6 times more productive. So there is a lot of waste of money. And if you're looking out to this quiet quitters, they also claim that the organizational culture is the major reason for the low engagement. More than they say, the engagement is based on that I don't get the better pay or something, or well-being. But well-being also part of engagement. And then looking into what people is missing in organizational culture. And this is what we also found in our research. Is things like getting recognized, if you have a manager that is approachable, if you have be able to be creative, ability to learn new things and grow, feeling respected, clear goals, guidance, and actually rather obvious things from my point of view, at least. So that is what people is missing. And that is also something that we see in our model, our way of thinking and self-organizing. We are actually going into those and try to stimulate those parts. So that is missing. So that is why do we want to do self-organizing. Mm-hmm. And this is also what we have been found, some quotes about McKinsey said already 2016 that we coming from a way of working with people having roles in processes. We are working in processes, in roles. But suddenly they say they turn into quicksand. And what they mean with that is everything is moving faster. So when you have, and the role descriptions, the job description are limiting us from doing a good job, because they are saying we have to do this, but is what is required is to do something more, something different. So we have to do something, we have to have a different kind of way of organizing work. And Frederick Laloux, of course, if you have read his book, is saying that we are going to a new phase of consciousness, and that we need to have more productive models of organization.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it's amazing that actually we start to talk about organizational development with such a language, which is really like I don't know, like to me, it's coming from a different order of fields. Yeah, like we say about phase of consciousness. We talk about this holistic approach, and yes. So what I was thinking when I was reading your book was that it's like all these chapters describing all these 12 areas are really amazing. At the same time, I was thinking, okay, so if I would be the owner of the company, somebody who would like to start the transformation in my place, what would be this initial steps? What can you recommend me as a person who is already interested in this kind of approach, self-organization, but how to start?
Maybe you can stop sharing, showing me instead. So that's a good question. How do we start? It starts in the culture, and culture in such is something very abstract, because how now we're discussing culture again. What is culture? What we are working together, a partner called Fearless Organization, Gustavo Rossetti from Chicago, and he has this signed culture design canvas that is making culture concrete, tangible. We are describing this in the book as well. How can we, because we have to start somewhere, we cannot start saying, now we are going to organize work ourselves. We have to put those pieces in place before. How do we behave with each other? How do we talk to each other? How can we create this psychological safety that we are allowed to do mistakes, that we can share things? What kind of behaviors do we allow? Do we accept? What do we not accept? I think that's things. How do we run meetings? How do we make decisions? So we have to start there in the culture. And when we are working with new organization, we are also trying to see from the leadership teams, for instance, what kind of activities can we distribute to the people doing the job? Because going from the strict hierarchical power model, the problem with that, and we'll come back, is with the strict hierarchical power model that we have today, the normal organization, is you have power in each level. You have status in each level. That makes the organization very static. It's very difficult to change it. It's not adaptable. And then we have a world that's going very fast. We need to have a kind of organization. So the distributed power model is saying we distribute the power to the people doing the work. They have an area of responsibility. Within this area of responsibility, they are allowed to decide themselves and organize this work. And to be able to that, then we have to change this culture of authoritative manager directing people, organizing the work. So you have to change the mindset. We start always with decision making because that is one of the most interesting things to discuss, and it's also never working. What we are doing then is saying we have to categorize decisions, saying operational decisions. This is an operational decision. This is a tactical or development decision. It doesn't have some kind of time frame of a month to 6 months, something you have to do. And they have strategical decisions that is long term. And we need to have different forums for those. Operational decisions shall be done in the front line. We shall not be, don't have to go to some manager to have that decision. We can do it. I can do it myself. I can have advice on other people, or I involve the people with the knowledge. Development or tactical decision, we have forums of that. And then we have the strategical decisions that have other forums with the right people involved. And then we need to have a process for that. Say, these different kind of decisions, how do we make them? We propose for tactical and strategical decisions that we use the consent method. This is opposite to consensus. First of all, consensus will not work in self-organized organizations. It will not work, because consensus is when I say, I would like to do this, I think this, I feel this. Consent is like also called objection method, coming from sociocracy and holacracy. So if I have a proposal, you, Alexandra, can say, I object to this because it will not work because of this. You have to explain it. Mm-hmm. With the purpose to improve the proposal. So that is a way. This is a way that you have that you can have a very efficient decision process. And we also have this principle saying good enough now, safe enough to try. That if you have something that is good enough, if it's safe to do it, then we go for that. And will not work in 3 weeks, then maybe you have to adjust it. Mm-hmm. So
I know this approach from. I know this approach from sociocracy. The slogan is used in sociocracy and consent as well. Yeah. I wanted to ask you what is like, because you said that you're changing the mindset, what is obviously super difficult. Yeah, because it's not about tool you show or the framework. You can be a good storyteller and you can promote it, but you work with people on their mindset, which sounds really difficult. So I'm wondering if you can share the biggest challenges from your from the point of view of researcher, business consultant. Like what is the most difficult in this transformation to self-organization?
Yes, maybe I can share my screen again. Is that possible? Because I will start with misconceptions, and then also go into shall. You see my screen now?
Yes. But now it's okay. Let's start.
We have five. We propose five. We have 5 misconceptions and misunderstandings, saying if you have absence for a manager, people can do what they want with no direction, or there is a lot of informal managers, and that is actually a misconception, because when you have self-organized organization, you need structure, you need to have responsibility or feeling ownership for your task. We need a lot of more leadership, and we need to have a leader in the self-organized team as well. But I can, as a person, be a leader of one team, but I can be a team member of another team because I contribute with my competence. So that is also some principles you have to have. So that is a challenge, because many saying we take away the manager, it will be chaos. It will not be chaos because you have structure, you have leaders, you have a way of work. Yeah, you talk about decision making take very long because everybody's involved. That's not true. As I said before, we need to have processes for that. Role description will confuse if you don't have so many role descriptions. Why do we say that we don't need so many role descriptions or job descriptions? Is that the world is moving faster and faster. When we had defined this role or this job, and we describe it in detail, the prerequisites for the job have changed. Maybe you have to do something else. You should contribute with the competence and not have the job description that limiting our way of working. So you have to think, you have to in this way, in modern way of organize things, you have to, it's a challenge that we need to understand and relearn that we are going to contribute to our competence, not that we act in our role. So that is a challenge. Relearn is more difficult than learn new. So this is also a challenge to relearn what we have done before. And we're also saying one other misconception, there's also a challenge that not everybody can work in self-organized teams and take responsibility. You want to have a manager to tell them what to do. So we see if we create this kind of healthy environment that people can act, that people can thrive, be engaged, they will take responsibility and also move from responsibility to feeling ownership. Responsibility comes from above, from someone. I get responsibility. Ownership comes from you. So you have to create this as well. When you have engaged people, they will feel ownership, and the team will have the ownership. Another misconception is there will be a risk because we don't have these key performance indicators. Key performance indicators, if you have many, will be an administrative thing that will be a waste because it just takes time and it is coming from a command and control area. Open book transparency should be the financial results should be available in the organization, and you need to have the people have to understand the financial figures. So that's also a challenge that we have to train people to understand the results, the financial results. And in general, those kind of organizations are more profitable. So if you're focusing in the team on deliverables, the result will come. And if you're going to say what is the pitfalls or the challenges, we are describing some of them in the book as well. If you're going to move into a self-organized way of working, you know to understand why you're doing it. Where did it start? Is it coming from the top? Then we have to understand why we are doing this. If we're coming from some teams or from more bottom-up approach, then we need to be transparent also to see from the other side, why are they doing it? Can we benefit from it as well? Principles and prerequisites are not in place. You need to have all these principles, the guiding principles, what is most important. Shall we focus on customers and the brand? Maybe then people in the front line, they can take all these decisions on their own. So we have to have the way of working, how we make decisions, etc. This is a challenge. Believe is a behavioral journey. Many of those companies that we have seen failing in moving into self-organizing is that they believe it's just about behavior and not, they are missing that you need to have procedures, way of working. Some of them, they're also taking in coaches and behaviorists only. You need to have people, if you want to have support in this, you need to have people supporting in how to implement the structure, working methods, organizational design, etc. Coming more from the business side. Board is not on board.
Yeah, can I stop you for a moment, Rolf? Because there are a few comments on our chat related to what you just said. Yeah, Gita is writing that culture is formed by people's behavior. If we can change people's behavior, culture will change. I found that using sociocracy as a method change people's behavior, and in time, mindset, and culture. Yeah. So by change, yeah.
Yes, I agree totally. Sociocracy, this is a good thing with sociocracy. There is structure, there are principles, you're getting some kind of system with you. And when you start to work with that, behavior will change. But at the same time, you cannot start working with sociocracy without start to work with the behaviors. So I cannot take sociocracy into a strict power hierarchy organization and say, now we're going to use sociocracy. It will not work. So then you have to start with behaviors. So they are like in a balance between each other. So I agree. Sociocracy is fantastic to work with because you have procedures, you have structure, and then behavior will change. So I agree with that. So that is a good point.
Super. Great. There are also other comments by Marcin Dębski, who agree with Gita that yes, but he has this other point. However, breaking habit patterns is really difficult, and partly because we as human beings are very prone to different kind of addictions. On the other hand, that is why our civilization developed in this pace. This is neurobiology, partly because we've been socially programmed for the first day of our life. Those programs frame our perception. Yeah, so I don't have a...
No, first of all, we are humans. So also when we are looking into the organization, we see people working in the organization. They are first of all humans, and then in the second place, they are co-workers. So we are different. We have different needs, different things that we will focus on. So we are individuals.
There is a question from Linnea. I hope that I pronunciate your name right. It can be seen on the screen. What is the main difference between the sociocracy model and the DV model, like distributed power model? You mean?
Yes, the deeper model. If you say sociocracy is I call it governance system or something that say how do we work in the organization. Deeper model is like how we look at the organization. What we are doing when we are supporting organization to moving, as we say, moving to the future, is we are looking from the deeper model in a way that we can measure where are we in those different 12 areas. And then we are trying to understand where is the most important parts in which of those 12 areas do we need to do something to improve. And then we are planning how to do it, and we implement it and we measure it afterwards. And one of those actions could be using sociocratic principles to start with. We have a goal maybe, because sociocracy is a way of working, as we say it. The DP model is like how to look at the organization and see how mature is it in self-organizing. So that is like how we can measure how far we are coming in those 12 areas. Is this that answer on the question? So we can use, because we are not limited us using sociocracy because it's a way we can use holacracy, or we can use another way of working. There is other way, and we can also say we are working in a pure or agile organization. But in many agile organizations of today, they have not agile principles. So then we say, how can we, for instance, in an organization working with Scrum, how can we make that organization really agile and not using Scrum as a methodology in a traditional hierarchical organization. So like sociocracy can be some way of implementing parts of the DP model.
Thank you. Also, Linnea is asking if the slides you're showing will be shared afterwards.
If you want, I am open for that.
Okay.
There is some slides I will not show because we have already talking about them.
So we can maybe in the end share your email address, and people who are interested in contact with you, maybe they can write you. We have a question about slides. Yeah. Okay, so Martin Dembski is writing, Agile is mindset in the first place and tools in second or even third. Shall
I go on with some more challenges, and I can do like this? Sorry.
Yes. If there, I just check if there are any questions, more questions or comments. Not yet. So let's. Again, there is something. Till is also a mindset. We can continue, and if any question will appear, I will let you know.
Yeah, I mean, we can take more discussion in a couple of minutes. I will say one thing: the copy-paste syndrome. Do not copy anyone else. Learn from them. If you're looking for Buurtzorg, for instance, the most famous self-organized company, we're also part of reinventing organizations, and they are fantastic. They have grown a lot. They are really good, but you cannot copy Buurtzorg into a productive organization working with production. It will not work, but you can learn from them, picking parts. So learning is important, not copying it. We have discussed different kind of decisions. Starting the wrong end and trying to do everything at the same time will not work either. If you have we always say that starting in Sweden, with discussing transparent salaries is not the best way to start. There is so much tensions about salaries in Sweden. So starting decision making or something. Don't do everything at the same time. Big bang will not work. Some also take steps. And then there is one thing that is also underestimated, that if you are going to have consent, for instance, for making decisions, we have to train people in understanding how do we make those decisions. And also when we have new people in the organization, they have to be on board in this way of working. So we have maybe also learn from the agile way to say we can have retrospectives, reflect on how do we work, how can we improve. So that is like what we see, the pitfalls or the challenges moving into self-organizing. Maybe we can stop sharing.
Okay, so let's stop sharing, and I will check again if there are any questions or comments, something what you would like to share with us.
I can see, for instance, that teal is also a mindset. Agile is a mindset. Teal is a mindset philosophy. We need to see how can we be tealish, how can we work in a teal way. And this is like the DP model is based on a teal mindset. We have that kind of mindset. We try to make it concrete, practical, how we can use it, as I said before, to look into an organization and also see how can we be more tealish. And agile is close to teal if you have the agile mindset as well.
I'm thinking about my reflections also from the book, and I was amazed by the variety of the companies you work with. From like IT companies, software development companies, to schools. Yeah, so yeah, maybe you can share what you learned from this different worlds. Let's say what is interesting, what is common, what those worlds can learn from each other.
Yes, we can learn a lot from each other. As I said before, we shall copy it, we shall learn. And many people we meet said, yeah, this is from the IT. They can do it because they are working like this. They are well educated and they are working with agile. But what we have seen that the most fantastic examples we have is small owner-owned companies in the north of Spain, companies who 100, 150 persons that owned by the founders, and they are saying that, wow, they are moving into self-organizing, transparency, and I see the owner saying, oh, well, now I cannot travel with business anymore because our principle is we're going to travel in economy, and I have to be open with how much my hotel is cost and everything like that. And because they see it also, this is the only way for us to grow. And many of them are more or less bankruptcy from beginning when they are supported to move into self-organizing. So that is amazing. Yeah. So you can do it in every area. Schools. One of the most fantastic examples is Holma Folk High School here, in Sweden. They are working with permaculture, and they have been organized with sociocracy for a long time. And the principal, headmaster Andreas, he was a leader in one team. He was a team member in another team. He participated and contributed with the competence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it sounds amazing. I have there are new questions in a chat. Paulina Koperska, what's helping people to be open to try self-organization?
Yeah. Sorry, I missed the question.
What's helping people to be open to try self-organization? What is helping?
What is helping them to be open to do it? Mm-hmm. We have those two questions we're always getting now. One, we're camping one company that is sort of big and growing, and they say we are going to grow. We don't want to have more levels in our hierarchy. How are we doing this? How can we do this? So it is one part. How can we grow without adding levels, administration, waste? The other one is what we are saying, that if you're moving into this, people will be more engaged in work. The profit will be better. You can grow. You can work in a better way. So try to do this. And the third way is people that have been working in a self-organized team, they will get a better team spirit. They will also, so it's better for people. So that's a funny thing. It's better for people, it's better for the organization, it's better for the owners. They have to understand that. But it is like, because as I have some comment before, that we are schooled. We are from the first of the day saying, also in schools today, university today, saying we should be managers, instruct people, we have direct reports, people reporting directly to us. Yeah, we are someone under. Is stupid. We are adult people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the schooling is essential, and it's great that you also emphasize that. I'm going to the next question. Aneta Pisarska, Rolf, what is teal organization for you? How do you define it?
A teal organization, if you compare from another kind of organization, is that it's based on self-organized principles, of course. There is no status. We are not status symbols in it. We are equal. Everyone is equal. We are contributing with competence. We do the different things. Some are doing more important things than others, but we are equal as people. We are also part of a bigger system, that we are not isolated organization. So you have to contribute to our society in some way. This is sustainability is really, really important in a teal organization. We should act always. We should also have a transparency. It's very transparency. We should not hide things. There is very little things that you need to hide, and no power in the hierarchy. We should have hierarchies are super good because structure things, but the problem is the power and the status in the levels. And we need to have transparent salaries and not a big difference between who is earning less and who is earning the most. So that is maybe, this is from me.
Mm-hmm. Thanks
what I
a
can
lot.
see in the conversation.
Thanks a lot. I think that this would be one of the last questions. Gabriela Bergamin, how do you deal with resistance?
Yeah, I have an example of that. We were working with one company that we really want to be tealish. They said, we want to be like Patagonia. That was like the mindset we started this discussion. And then we started work and we involved people in this organization. There were about 40, 50 people totally, and they had two managers. And the manager really on to this. And then we started and we have proposals like competence development. You don't need to have a manager to work with competence development. It's better to have a colleague working with competence development for me. And then suddenly one of the managers said, that was really into this for me, but that's my responsibility. So, okay, but then you can do other things. So that is resistance. And then we say, okay, what kind of activities are you doing? What can you distribute to others? And then we can talk about how can you contribute to the organization? You can with your competence. So you have to. That is the way we are dealing with resistance, and that is, so to say it, middle managers are the big problem. To say because their positions are. They never lose their positions because they have to relearn this, and so there is the ones that we have to work a lot with.
Yes, people want to be needed. There are a lot of questions. Adrian Zarif, how can we maintain the balance between freedom and constraints with a system?
Yeah, that's a good question. It will never be perfect. One of the things that we are into, the only thing we know about the future is will not exactly be what we think it will be. We have to work with retrospectives, follow up. People have freedom to do things. There are constraints. We have something. We have procedures. So if we are misusing the freedom, then we are not be a behavior that we not accept. So that we'll be open with that. This is about the feedback discussion as well. We proposing a feed forward, not feedback. We have to reflect on what's happened and how can we move forward. How can we work that we don't do misuse the freedom again. One guy said, when discussing with this, we are designing a system for 100% of the co-workers. If 3% of them are misusing the system or the freedom that we have, we cannot build in control mechanism to control those 3%. We have to allow it, and we have to work with it. How can we how can we minimize this? So that is. I would really love to read all those questions afterwards. Maybe I can answer them. If you have specific, you can always contact me.
Yeah, we will save them for sure. It's so there will be a last question, like super short from yeah. So posts in video, as I understand. Yeah. By yeah.
So so this is my question, right?
by our DJ.
Okay, so it's a brief question because you said actually that there are a little bit of things that you can hide in those kind of organizations. So what kind of things are allowed or ought to be hidden in this kind of organizations? What do you mean by that?
You have to follow some laws sometimes about if you cannot present some kind of information because against the law. We have, at least here in Sweden, very strict laws about what kind, if you're going into the stock market and stuff like that. There is maybe some sensitive. You can also hide if I'm saying as a person to some people in the team that they have private problems. That should not be. This is taken as well. And then there is some kind of strategic decisions, strategic information that maybe you cannot be transparent in this time, because transparency is also is best before date on information. So there is information that need to be not open for everyone, but this should be a limited part, limiting our information, other information.
Great, that's very wise. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Unfortunately, we have to finish our meeting. I think, to me, it's like a warm-up more than, I would like to stay with you longer and also pose more questions and read you other questions and comments left by the audience, but we will save them so you can read them as well. Thank you a lot, Rolf. Thank you for writing this book, sharing your experiences with us. I'm thinking that your book is really needed because it's so amazing approach. Like to me, when you describe in a really simple way those complex ideas, and you provide the path for the beginners. You deliver amazing examples from your research in different companies, and you also share this part, like hand-on perspective. So I think that different people can find many interesting things in your book. So thanks again for accepting our invitation for Tea Breakfasts.
Thank you. It's really, I love this kind of discussion, so I was really happy to discuss these things. I will share my email address in at LinkedIn maybe, so you can email me if you want to have a question, if you want to have a presentation and everything.
Yes, let's finish with showing your email address. There were people who were writing that they have to go, but they're super interested in the book and they want to read it maybe this summer. Yeah.
Best thing is to buy the book.
Okay. So I see the slides with the book, and
so we can cut the stream right now if you like. If there is anything you want to add, we can do it right now.
Yeah, we would like to show the slide with email address of okay, there is. Okay, so thank you again.
We are also, there will be a summary on our website also. So thank you again, and I hope to see you soon. Take care.
Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.